Hey folks, welcome to a very rainy, stormy, hurricaney podcast episode 27 of Your Photography Mentor podcast. I'm David
Well, half
Molnar.
rainy. It's not really raining where I'm at.
Well, good for you. I'm getting it.
It is cloudy. It's been cloudy for like a week.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Well, I'm just letting you know it's actually been great. I had I even had a surprise wedding on Saturday that I didn't know about. So part of my curse, I don't know if this is about my Enneagram type. I don't know what it is, but I love helping people when they're in a pickle. And like that gets out. And like Saturday I did a wedding that I didn't know about when I woke up Saturday. I woke up Saturday and got a call, "Hey, can you help me with the wedding?" Sure.
How does your wife feel about that?
It's money. She just wants me to bring home the bacon. She doesn't care how much I'm overworked and stressed and dying. She just says, "Does it pay?" Let me teach you about my wife, David. And you know her. She's beautiful and great. If I was like, "Hey, I'm going to Iceland for a week, 2 weeks, and it's going to cost $100 because I'm shooting at the Airbnb and all this stuff," and like I made this amazing deal, but it cost me like a couple $100, she's like, "We really shouldn't spend the money." But I can say, "Hey, I'm flying to Florida. It's not going to cost me anything. I'm going to make $50, but I'm going to be gone for 4 days." She's like, "Cool, you're making money. Go for it." So like literally, if I'm making money, I can talk my wife into almost anything. I could be like, "Hey, I'm going to Poland for 2 years, but I'm going to make $100. Sure, that's fine. It's great. But also, I'm with my wife all the time.
Right.
And I'm a pretty there person. So she's like, "When do you leave? When are you going to Florida again?" Like I get those questions a lot too. But anyway, all this cloudy weather's been great. The wind's been coming offshore, so it's like I've had 3 weddings at 3 awful times, like over the last 5 days, and it's been fine. It's been cloudy. You know, there's nothing worse than being on the beach, it being 100 degrees in August, and everybody's squinting. And the wind,
sun,
I have to fight the wind or the sun, like every time I shoot. Like I'm fighting those two things. Like I hate wind and I hate direct sunlight. So it's like I have to submit to the wind usually. So when it's cloudy, praise the Lord.
I hear you, man.
Anyway, sorry to rant. That's my big one. How about that for today?
It's all right. I mean, speaking of a blanket statement, I have a question for you. What did the blanket say to the bed as it fell off? Oh, sheet.
Oh, sheet. I love it.
Explicit rating. I said sheet, SHEET. So there you go. There you go. Okay, so that was one. So for me, it's like we're getting hit by 2 hurricanes this week. Literally 2 hurricanes. I mean, we'll see. There's 2 hurricanes heading into the Gulf. One is Marco, who I think was a hurricane, now is downloaded to a tropical storm. Laura, they're expecting to be hurricane like any minute. So it's really interesting. And it's like the Hurricane Marco is supposed to be like heading west and hitting like Louisiana and Texas, which I'm praying for you guys. But we're getting all the rain. Like all the rain is east. Like, so they're going to get 40-mile-per-hour winds, and we're getting dumped on with like, I don't know, 2 or 3 inches of rain this morning already. So it's just like we're just getting dumped on, and it's like, okay, all right, well, I thought we weren't getting the hurricane, but I guess we are, you know? So it's an interesting week.
Yeah, well, I mean, in hindsight, that's kind of good, though, too, because, like, man, Louisiana, it's like below sea level. They're like, let's build it 20 feet below sea level.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
in a bowl. It makes perfect sense.
I'm praying the hurricanes levy them alone, you know what I mean?
Ooh, too soon.
Yeah, too soon. I don't want it to hit Louisiana. Like I don't want it to hit anywhere. Yeah. But you know, like we're at the moment we're okay. Not that I want it to hit hard anywhere.
Well, like you have a thick skin for hurricanes, I would think, growing up here.
I do. But Mexico Beach got pummeled a couple of years ago, and that's about an hour east of me. So, I mean, I don't wish that for them with Hurricane Michael. That was brutal. But you know. Yeah. It's better that it rains here than Louisiana. I will say that. You know what I mean?
Concur.
So there you go. We're trying to keep Brandy Powell Fletcher safe. She says she's from South Louisiana. So,
I mean, not to say name a people group they, but like everybody from, I love their accent. As a North Carolina boy who grew up on the beach, I don't have much of an accent, but I can't even imitate like a New Orleans accent, no matter what I do.
Nolans. Yeah, man, my neighbor is from, I don't know, it's like New Orleans, but somewhere in southern Louisiana, and man, can he make some jambalaya. He's amazing. My neighbor Greg, he's awesome. But anyways,
Greg, shout out to Greg.
Shout
All
out
the
to
Gregs out there,
Greg.
we love you.
Shout out to Greg, he's awesome. Yeah.
What's number 3?
Well,
Oh,
Hurricane Laura.
I got it.
Yeah, go ahead.
Speaking of hurricane, I've been working all weekend relentlessly on my house. I measured. My house is 125 feet that way. So this is a separate building. So my house is 125 feet that way. And I am getting doing this myself as a little self project, self-care, self-love. I'm getting higher speed internet to myself. So my boss doesn't yell at me because, man, when he's angry or grumpy or hungry, woo, man, you do not want to get those texts.
Get that guy some food.
It just scares. I'm like, can you eat some gummy bears for the love of the Lord? Please eat some gummy bears and call me back. This podcast is brought to you by what is it called? Dang it,
Black Forest gummy
bears.
bears. They need to sponsor me because I eat so much of the gummy bears. Oh, it's amazing. Yeah. There you go. Those. There you go. Man, can you pass me one of those? I wish you were here. So, hey, today I want to. So I'm going to talk about a fourth thing then, real quick, because we've got, we're in the process of doing the Canon R5 giveaway, the sexiest camera in the world. If People magazine had they have the sexiest woman alive, sexiest man alive, the Canon R5 would get the sexiest camera alive, or in the world, or whatever. Wouldn't you agree?
I would agree. It's gonna be. It's gonna take a while. Like, how it's like Canon, Nikon, Sony. They're always like climbing the ladder. Mm-hmm. It's gonna be difficult to It's gonna take at least a year or so for somebody to come beat this thing. It's like top of its weight class, and it's just like it's like a fighter who's undefeated.
Right.
It's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
She's as close to perfect, I think, as you can get.
Yep. This is true. Well, hey, if you guys have not registered for our camera giveaway, I'm going to post a link right here for all of you guys.
Do they have to buy anything, David, to win this camera?
They do not have to buy anything.
They just have to be our friends. I love it. And, why don't we have them share that link you're posting for a chance to win something today?
Yeah. Yeah.
I love it. I love the... We never pick what we're giving away. We never pick what we're going to give away, like on the fly.
What are we giving away today?
I don't know my budget. I mean, you tell me a budget, I'll spend it.
Let's give away a flash. Since it's a rainy day, it's like inside. Like, I literally had to turn on lights. Usually I don't have any lights. So let's give away whichever flash you want. Is that a Yongnuo or Godox or what?
Let's give away the Godox. I'm liking the Godox. Man, I went. It's stupid how many stupid speed lights I have at my house currently. I started giving some of my old ones away because I had so many.
Right.
I gave Moser 2 of them just because I was like, here, I literally have too many flashes to put places. So we're gonna give away speed light, and in honor of this Friday, the last part of my course dropped on how to use that speed light in the photo mentorship.
Boom. That's awesome, man.
I need to give you that video so you can share it at some point, maybe near the end.
Yeah. Let's do it.
I'm ready.
Camera giveaway. The camera giveaway is davidmolnar.com/R5. Let me delete this other thing off the screen. So if you go to davidmolnar.com/R5, you can.
Are you serious?
I am. Yep. I'm this
I sure
serious.
Are. That many.
I talked to my little daughter Juliet. She's so cute. I'm like, how much do you love me? She's like, this much. Because that's the most she can count on her hand. It's like 5. So
yeah, it's good.
It's pretty cute.
It's bad when Tammy does the same thing though.
She's like this much.
My wife says
usually
like this, but only like one finger. I don't know. I'm not going to share which one on the pond.
That one.
I love you this much. I have my wife's tattoo. Her name's tattooed right there.
Oh, there you go. Love it.
I lost 3 wedding rings my first year of marriage, David. 3.
Dude, this is my original from 14 and a half years ago.
Yeah. When you go surfing, you take it off or does it stay?
Cut my fingernails, guys. Goodness gracious. When I go surf, it won't it's kind of, I don't even know if I can get it off. It's pretty much wedged on there. My hands are too fat now.
Yeah.
They just stay
Well,
on there.
see, mine had like a rounded bevel. It was made out of tungsten, which is cool. They make shotgun bullets out of tungsten, so I was like, sweet, and it's cheap. Men rings are like $200. But like when you get board shorts, they have a wax comb thing. So I would take it off and I put it in that and I wrap it around. David, as somebody who doesn't surf much anymore, all 3 times when I lost my ring, I was surfing. I'd feel it. I'd paddle. The 3 times I forgot to take it off, I'd paddle and I'd feel it like on my knuckle, and I would just watch it go into oblivion.
And the water wasn't
first
like
time
here.
she-
It's not exactly easy to find stuff on the bottom of the ocean. And
No, and like it's
Atlantic.
deeper too. It was pretty deep. Like every time I lost it, because I was out, almost to where the break was. But the first time she was mad. The second,
The other-
third time she didn't care.
She was like, whatever. Well, hey, I do have an announcement about the camera giveaway, because we were originally going to end the giveaway this Thursday, which is August 27th, I think is the correct date. We're actually going to push the end of the giveaway to give you guys a little bit more time to get extra entries and stuff. And also just because of the unknown of the hurricanes hitting the Gulf Coast this week, we like to have a big announcement ceremony and have lots of fun with it. And
It's hard to go live without power.
I just don't know if I'm going to have power or internet the next few days. I'm just not really sure. And the hurricane's supposed to be hitting Thursday morning, late Wednesday night, Thursday morning. And that was when we were going to be announcing the giveaway winner. So we're going to push the announcement until Tuesday. What is that, September 1st? September 1st.
Which is kind of exciting because now you
it's
have
kind of
more
a cool-
chances to win. Because it's not like just like, hey, sign up and get one chance. If you share it with a friend, you get like 10 more. There's all kinds of ways to get more entries or your name in the hat.
Right. So we are going to push that announcement ceremony back a few days. So sorry if you guys were really looking forward to this Thursday, but mark your calendars. Tuesday, September 1st, the day after our next podcast, because our next podcast will be on the last day of August, I think 31st, Monday. And then Tuesday, September 1st, we'll announce the winner of the Canon R5. And it's just really, really awesome.
I'll play Wake Me Up When September Ends on my guitar just to commemorate the...
Wake me up when...
It's the easy.
But
It's like...
Such a good song. But this is when September starts, not ends.
I know. It just means I want to sleep the whole month.
And my birthday is in September, so that's why we got to do the giveaway in the
Great. Now I have to buy you something. What should I buy you?
Buy me another Canon R5.
Maybe I should buy you a beach cruiser bike.
I'm good.
No, you got me one. I just still don't have it. Remember?
Yeah, you still don't have it. Yeah, they're still sold out. It's so crazy. Bikes have been sold out this year. Quarantine.
David bought me a bike in April. It's been great to not ride it once or even see it.
They're sold out of bikes everywhere. Hey, let's talk about Enneagram for photographers. We've been talking about this. We talked about it a couple weeks ago. We've had 2 episodes where we've talked about it a little bit. We've talked about the 7s, which you and I both identify as a 7 with a wing of 8. And the 7 is the enthusiast, and the 8 is the challenger. And I think we should just go through the numbers real quick. We talked about the number 4 as well when we had special guest Jeremy Cowart on.
Such an individualist, that guy.
Such an individualist, quite an individual we had on there. But number 4 on the Enneagram actually is the individualist, also known as the romantic. A lot of artists like Jeremy Cowart or
sensitive, withdrawn.
Yeah, like my friend Zach Gray is a 4, and then lots of like musicians and stuff are 4s as well. And they feel like no one else in the world is like them, and they may be true. And that may be true. Oftentimes, if someone dyes their hair blue. I'm not saying everyone who dyes their hair blue, but as an example, a lot of times someone who dyes their hair blue to fit in or to not fit in so that they feel like they can fit in. Like, it's a strange thing. It's a strange phenomenon. They'll do things to look and feel unique.
So temperamental.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm just saying everything about number 4s. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's interesting. So that's a 4. But let's go through the list real quick. Does that sound good?
That sounds great. I can go number 1. Number 1's. I like number 1s.
Are you going to the bathroom, or you're just okay?
Yeah.
Gotcha.
I like number 1s more than number 2s.
Yeah, me too.
It's just so much easier as a man. People that were born identified as a man. People that were born with the reformer.
That's one way to.
The
That's
rational,
one way to transition.
idealistic type. They're principled, they're purposeful, they're self-controlled.
Are you talking about
And
men, or are you talking about ones?
I'm talking about number ones.
Okay,
Perfectionists,
gotcha.
like
Yeah.
it's type A. Is that like a good, like type A people? Like
A lot of times, type A
perfectionists?
would be number one. Number one is the perfectionist. Yep, exactly right. But type A is kind of a. I don't
Broad
think.
term. It's like saying you're OCD.
Yeah, I don't think that all type A people would be ones. I don't think we could put them all in that bucket. Type A could also be like they want to take charge, which is actually the 8. You know what I mean? And like yeah. Anyways, but typically, I think type A, what we think of as type A, would be identified with a 1, the perfectionist. It doesn't necessarily mean that 1 is OCD either. It just means that they need to feel. So remember this: Enneagram, the numbers are determined by you, the individual. Someone else cannot identify you as a specific number. Okay, they can make assumptions, but at the end of the day, you have to identify yourself as a specific number. And here's why. Because the numbers are not determined by what you do. For example, your external actions, the external actions of a 7 doing new things, because that's what they like to do, versus a 3 who likes to check things off the list and do a lot of things so that they feel accomplished. The external actions may look the same, but what determines your Enneagram number is your internal motivations.
The why.
Okay. Debbie Karn says, I am decidedly OCD. So the internal motivation for a 7, by the way, is the need to feel free. Okay. Hey, if you guys have not shared this podcast episode, will you guys do that for us? We all share this podcast episode
Do
for
it.
us. So we can
And
help
and there's no and to recap, being a 7 isn't better than being a 1 because it's a higher number. And there's no such thing as a better number, and everybody has all of these parts. So when you take the test, it says like you identify 95% with this, 10% with this, like you have all of these in you. Mm-hmm. And it's been around for a long time. So this isn't like witchcraft.
Yeah. No, it's not like witchcraft. Lori asked a question. She said, please help me remember again why the Enneagram is important to us as photographers. If you're just tuning in and you don't know what I'm talking about, the Enneagram is a personality test. All right. We've talked about it in episodes 24 and 5. And now in 27 again. And so the reason it's important is because it's a personality identifier. And when assessment, and when you understand your number and possibly the people that you work with's numbers, potentially your spouse, your friends, or your clients, even, it can help you work with people a lot better. And guess what? People are, like the world works by getting along with people. Okay. The world, like if you want to make money, like people are the ones that pay you. You're not
that
worried
tree
about
is not going to pay you money. That tree is not going to pay you money for taking a beautiful picture of it.
That waterfall does not have an Enneagram number. However, if you take a picture of that waterfall and it's beautiful, and you find an Enneagram number 4 who wants to be an individualist and have a unique piece of artwork that's signed of a waterfall in Iceland, then that Enneagram 4 is the one that's actually going to pay you money for your picture of the waterfall. So what's interesting about it is when you understand your Enneagram number, you can kind of help flourish as a photographer. So for example, as a 7 who always needs to try new things, I now understand why I wasn't content to just do one type of photography. I've specialized in different types of photography over the years. Originally, I was a photo assistant. Then I became a wedding photographer, okay? And then I became a commercial album cover photographer. And then I became an advertising photographer, right? And, shooting magazine covers and stuff like that, right? Like a 7 always wants to experience new things. If you're a perfectionist, like a 1, then, really detail-oriented work might be really good for you as a photographer. A perfectionist, it might be awesome. Like I know there's a lot of perfectionist photographers who are food photographers, because they're having to just dial in like food and product, and they're dialing in that stuff like real perfect, so that it displays well on the poster in Cracker Barrel or whatever it is. And so I'm just saying, knowing your Enneagram type can help you not only work with people, but understand what types of photography you might thrive in as opposed to not. You know what I mean?
Dave, I have a fun thought. So we just said what the 1 is: principled, purposeful, self-oriented, self-controlled, perfectionist. How would that? And that's like the pros. That's like the pros of this photographer. They have all these things. Like, what's a negative thing for a 1, so that people listening that are 1s can know some things they might struggle with?
Yeah, I think the
just to fun it, make this more fun. Yeah,
you know what?
Cool.
I think I wish I had read up on the 1s like this morning, because it's one of those things where I'm trying to remember. I'm racking my brain if anyone can like ping this. But the 1s I believe would struggle with trying to always make things too perfect, trying to control things maybe a little bit too much, worried about the details, kind of what you would imagine an OCD person might struggle with sometimes. You know what I mean? And they they might need to feel like everything is, all their ducks in a row, and that everything is perfect, right? Is there anything else you want to add to that before we move to the 2?
Like maybe like having hard, realistic expectations. Like if you're a perfectionist, like sometimes the issue is you have this idea of what you want that's like unobtainable, and you're like, number one, as an artist, like I hate my own work more than anybody, and I'm a 7. So like I take a picture, I'm unhappy with it. I'm imagining somebody that's a 1, that would be a huge like struggle for a type 1, is like they're pushing for that perfection so much that like it can stress them out. They can obsess over the details, and it could be, being highly critical is not a good thing, I don't think.
You know what? And I believe, so it's interesting, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe, number one, I am not an expert in Enneagram. We've just been, it's been helpful the last few years to understand stuff. When I get stressed as a 7, I believe I go to a 1. And what's interesting is, so Kimberly Strength Sangster, which your middle name is awesome. It's a very strong middle name. She said, I'm too critical of my own photos, right? And so I think a 1 could end up being really critical and, potentially negative about certain things if they're not, if they don't feel like everything is perfect. Now, I'm not saying all 1s are negative or something like that, but my wife is like, if I get stressed, like if something's like, stressful, like the website breaks or something like that. Having 9 kids or whatever it is, and I get home, because usually like our house is a mess, like, sorry babe, I'm not trying to throw you under the bus, but we have 4 little tornadoes that just, from a 2-year-old, a 3-year-old, a 6-year-old, and a 7-year-old right now. Like it's just a mess, and we get, we clean the house, but the point is like it can go from like looking perfect to disaster in a couple seconds. And typically it's one of those things where I'm like, it's just this phase of life that we're in, because you pick up something and it gets thrown again a few seconds later. And usually I'm fine about it. But if I'm stressed, I'll start being real critical and be like, why is the house at rest? Blah, blah, blah. Like a mess, My wife's like, oh, he's stressed, because typically I don't really care.
David's just being a jerk today.
Yeah, she's like, David's just being a jerk today. But I'll go to a 1 in stress. So it's an interesting thing. Let's move on to number 2. Is that okay?
Number 2, the helper.
Number 2 is a helper. Exactly. And what number is your wife, by the way? Do you know?
My wife is definitely a helper.
She's a 2. That's funny, dude. We're like the same. So my wife is a number 2 as well. I mean, she's a 10, but
she's a 10. You know
on
what
I'm
saying?
Yeah. On the Enneagram, she's a 2. Okay. And 2 is the helper, and this is an interesting and complicated and wonderful and sometimes horrible person to be married to. A 2 is, it's mostly wonderful, and here's why: because the 7 is really selfish a lot of times, and they'll go do stuff for themselves because they're like, I just got to, like
I'm going to hang out with my friends. Kids be damned.
Yeah, explicit Reading now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyways, it's one of those things where, you know, it's the two is always thinking about other people. They think about other people. They're like, my wife is Miss Empathy. She is the epitome of empathy, and I am not. You know, it's not that I hate people. It's that I'm like, with our kids, I'm like, so what? Your knee's broken. You know, like your bone is sticking out.
Suck
like,
it up.
Suck it up. Get over it. I'm just
We'll go to the doctor. Just quit crying.
Yeah, literally, I'm like, just stop fussing. Like, it'll be fine. You know, like, I know your bone's hanging out, but like, whatever. No, I'm just kidding. But in all seriousness, like, my wife is Miss Empathy. She cares so deeply about everyone else. She's always worried about making other people feel comfortable or taken care of. Okay. And for me, I'm more like, I don't know, are we having fun? Like, that's all I really care about. You know, like, as a 7, that's kind of like what I care about. And what's interesting about the 2 is that they're motivated by wanting to feel needed,
appreciated. If you underappreciate a number 2, woo, that's how you can be unhappily married. Let me just tell you about that.
Yeah, they want
don't underappreciate your 2.
Exactly. I appreciate you saying that. So anyways, it was too good to not say that joke. So I just, you know, it was one way to go about moving forward. So the 2 needs to feel needed, and they thrive on being the person that helps someone else. Do you know what I mean? Like, they want to feel like they feel good when they help someone else, and not necessarily out of a, I forget the word I'm looking for, but not necessarily in a healthy way all the time. It's not this like charitable thing all the time where they're just out of the goodness of their heart, they're helping other people. I think a lot of times it's that way, but they actually want to feel, they need to feel needed. So if someone can start doing something on themselves, like by themselves, they will try to hold on sometimes to helping people do something instead of pushing them out of the nest. Mm-hmm. Which is interesting because they want to feel needed.
My kids will never move out of the house because my wife won't let them. We're right there. I love you, Lauren.
But it's one of those things where that can be an unhealthy thing for it too, mm-hmm. because they could potentially hold people back by continuing to make their beds as if his mom is a 2, or continuing to just spoon feed someone something. You know, the kids is a great illustration of that.
And to think about it too, like from a photographer's perspective, if you're very empathetic, like you're kind of, I feel like they'd make good storytellers. 2s, like a 2 would probably make a good storyteller. Like having her help you at weddings, she probably captured the emotion really well. I don't know. I'm just saying
photography storyteller. Yeah, I gotcha.
Yeah. Like I feel like she'd be really good at like as a 7, you're just like, what's fun? And she's like, no, like mom doing this thing is important, because she's like in the moment with them. So that's mm-hmm. like a pro. And like a con would be maybe sometimes she is so worried about everybody else that she's not worried about herself. Like I feel like that's a big thing 2s have. So
100%.
You know, having self-health is huge in any, like as a business owner, as soon as you let self-health go, you're in trouble. So like bringing it back to photography, I'll just try to, like I said, my mind works in analogies, David.
Well, and if you're a 2 as a photographer, you might overwork the crap out of yourself. My wife overworks herself like crazy, to the point I'm like, just sit down and relax. Like, the house is going to be a mess afterwards anyway. Because like, what's the point? You know, there's so many kids.
It's just going to be messy again.
Yeah. So, but
you just said you're a 7. You just complained about the house being a mess. So that's why the cycle is really bad for 2s and 7s.
For
it's
sure.
Pretty funny, man. We are.
It is pretty funny. So, but the thing is like a 2. Using my wife as an example, she will not take care of herself. Like this morning, she made everyone breakfast. Like, we switch off. Sometimes I make breakfast. Sometimes she makes breakfast. She made everyone eggs and biscuits. And then, you know, she's trying to get the kids out the door for homeschool, because we homeschool sometimes. Or we have like a homeschool meetup occasionally. And And like her eggs are sitting there cold, and so she got everyone else food, and she's upstairs chasing them, getting them to brush their teeth and like, put their clothes on and all these different things. I'm like, babe, your food's getting cold, and I'm like, I can go help do that. Like, eat your food before. And she did everything, and it was like time to get in the car, and then she eats her food. And I know that's like a typical mom thing, but that is a two thing. Okay, they take care of everyone else before they actually take care of themselves. The other day, my wife was super stressed. All right, sorry, Tammy, I'm not trying to throw you under the bus here. She was super stressed.
Don't worry, she does not listen to this.
Yeah, she doesn't. She doesn't have time to listen to something
okay,
for
my
herself.
wife doesn't either.
Yeah, it's great. So like the other day I was coming home, I was just like, I'm just going to come home early. Typically I come home at like 5:30, something like that. And I was going to come home at like 3:30, 3:45. And I was like, babe, I want you, we live near the beach. Okay. We live like a mile from the ocean, which is amazing. And we can ride our bikes through a state park path to get to the beach. And it's beautiful. My wife has not been to the beach and sat on the beach by herself in the entire year that we've lived here. And we live in the freaking most beautiful beaches like one of the most beautiful beaches in America. Okay, it's just absolutely stunning. I don't know, it's like so good for your soul. I don't care who you are or if you like the beach or not. When you are sitting on the beach, looking at the ocean, watching dolphins, and feeling an ocean breeze on your face, that is good for your soul. Okay, and my wife has not done that once since we lived here. So the other day, she's all stressed. I'm like, I'm coming home, I'm watching the kids, and I want you to go for a bike ride by yourself to the beach. And she's like, okay. It required me forcing her to take care of herself to go have a quiet moment, because otherwise she will not take it. So
I'm just impressed your wife listens to you. That totally would not have happened for me. I mean, it'd be cool, but I almost don't believe it. Like, is this real life?
Honestly, she doesn't most of the time. She's like, yeah, but I got these other things to do, like,
yeah, you
know what I mean? Like, so, but this was a time when she actually did it, and she felt so refreshed afterwards, and she took like an hour, and it was great, So anyways,
I have to buy my wife something scheduled to do the same thing. Like, here's a massage. It's already booked. You have to go. Sucks.
Right. Yeah. Oh, well,
yeah.
I know. And two, like, so here's the thing about a two. So I think we can talk more about twos because like our wives are twos and we interact with them all the time. Like I don't have too many ones in my life. Or is Kristen a one?
Kristen's a one. She says she's a one.
She says she's one. Yeah. She self-identifies it. Yeah, exactly. She self-identifies as a one. So the two won't take care of themselves unless you do it. But here's the thing. Unless you like force them or something, when they do have needs, and because they are so empathetic for other people, they get mad at you even when you're not a two and you don't naturally, like I'm a 7, I don't naturally empathize and like try to feel other people's feelings and try to think about what's wrong with them. Am I right, Crystal? But anyways, like they'll get mad at you for not realizing that something's wrong with them. And I'm like, use your words. Like, I don't know what's going on in the depths of your soul. Like, I don't know that.
I tell my wife all the time that I'm not a mind reader, and then I'm in trouble, but it's true. I'm like, I don't know. I thought we were great. I had no idea you've been pissed at me for 2 weeks. Sorry.
Yeah,
I'm just an idiot.
Well, that's the thing.
Anyway,
and they're mad at you for not empathizing and knowing.
I know. And that's what twos are. So if you're 2, marry a 7 if you just want a lot of fun. 3 is the achiever. Success-oriented person.
Yep.
They are all about checking off boxes. And 3s and 7s can look the same if you don't know, but it's like David said, it's like what drives that person. The 3 is driven. They're adaptive. What else? Tell me. You probably know more about 3s than I do.
3s can, so John Price, who is, used to work with us. I still love John.
He was my favorite. I know.
John's awesome.
He was the cutest employee we've ever had.
So John was a 3. He was a hardcore 3, and John is awesome. They have so many strengths, and they're amazing. They're amazing at getting stuff done. Okay, 3 is the achiever. They thrive on achieving things, checking off lists, and they like to be the get it done person. They thrive on being known as that. And so what's interesting is, remember how I said what motivates you is what determines, not what your external actions look like. And so the 3 is the achiever, and they are motivated by being perceived as successful or achieving a great many things. So in other words, their external perception is what motivates them. So a 7, we love to be loved. We like to appear successful, or at least I do, okay? But for me, what's intrinsically like important is feeling free to make my own choices, okay? You know,
Not how you look to other people.
Right. I do care about that, but I'm saying first and foremost is that I have the choice of freedom. I can do and say and be and wear what I want, you know, which is interesting because like a blue V-neck every single day, you know, which is interesting because I have the freedom to wear whatever flipping color I want. Or
David's going to wear a red V-neck next week just for you guys.
It'd be crazy. But I'm saying what's interesting is there's freedom and limitation sometimes. So the 3 though wants to be perceived as successful. Okay, so for their to their boss, they want to be perceived as someone who gets stuff done, right? And a lot of times 3s are flashy. They can be to where they want to drive a successful. They want to drive a successful car. They want to have a successful house because they want to be perceived as successful. Okay, it's great to have a 3 on your team. Okay, some faults of a 3 is they will.
Well, wait. First, before you go to faults, how could this help a photographer? Being a 3 as a photographer.
How could it help a photographer, or how does it? What does it look like as a photographer?
No. Yeah. What does it look like, and like what are your strengths as a photographer in a 3?
Before
we get to flaws, because the flaws will work both ways. If you hear the flaws, you can see how that'll help you suck.
What do you think a 3? What do you think some of the strengths for a 3 would be?
The strengths are you probably have a banging website. If you're a 3, you care about how you're perceived. So you probably have like a really good website and you're putting your best work forward. You know, so like from a client that doesn't know you or know who else they're booking, like let's bring it back to portraits. If you're looking at a 4's website and it's like artistic and crazy, and then you look at this 3's website, I hit my mic. It's probably the most put together website, and it probably looks the best. You're like, dang, like that guy's a photographer. That guy, and then he shows up to your shoot in like a Mercedes or a BMW. You're like, God, this guy's a photographer. So like,
yeah, and
look like $1 million, charge $1 million. I'd say like that's like one good thing. Like you're probably gonna look good, so you can charge good. So.
I don't necessarily think that all 3s are flashy per se, but I think that it's important for them. Their internal motivation is to be perceived as successful, and sometimes that looks like flashy Mercedes, you know, or you know the Rolex watch or whatever it is, and sometimes it might be a more quiet, subtle thing. It's like what they define success could look and feel different for them. But,
yeah, but they're driven. As a people, they're driven people. So like if you're driven to be a photographer, you're not going to sit on your arse and not be one. You're going to be one.
Right.
They're driven, and they're also like image conscious. So it's probably going to look a little better.
Image conscious and success oriented and checklist. So a photographer, that you know, a 3, one of the tendencies they have is to book a ton of stuff because they want to achieve because they're achievers.
I booked 64 portraits this month.
Right. So the people that like book like the massive amount of weddings, I'm like, I don't even know how you do it because weddings exhaust me. Like I mean I think they're awesome, but I'm like, oh my gosh, that's stressing me out. Like when Rich books all these weddings, I'm like, oh my gosh. Now, granted, if they're a 2-hour wedding, it's different than a 12-hour day.
I only book half-hour sessions for weddings.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. You only shoot the first 30 minutes of a ceremony, you know.
Just the
Catholic ceremonies are like an hour and 15 minutes long by themselves.
Oh,
yeah.
And
then they kiss.
That's not even one Canadian speech. Like not to throw Canadians under the bus, but man, you guys give the best
Canadian speeches are the best.
They're so long though. It's like 45 minutes of like the most heartwarming thing, and you're like, I haven't taken a picture in 40 minutes, and they're still going.
Ben and Jay Donor are brothers that are good friends of mine that live up in Canada, near
Don't you know?
Toronto. Don't you know?
Hey,
And I shot both of their weddings, and the speeches at their weddings were just like, my wife and I were like, we have never heard speeches these amazing, like so good. Oh my gosh, And it was like we had to sit down. Like usually as a photographer, we're like standing up taking photos of the speeches, but it was like an hour and a half long of speeches, so we got to sit down for a minute. And
it was
like,
entertaining, but man, are they long?
yeah,
That's a people group thing.
yeah.
Canadian weddings I've done. I remember looking at Tom and being like, "This is fire," but I can only take so many pictures of him holding a glass and laughing.
Right. And that's the point. Like you take pictures when it's like a new or funny moment, and then you like sit down because there's 30 minutes of like other parts of the speeches where like, this looks like
And
the same
then you
thing.
use the trigger to pop your flash so it looks like you're working. That's the lesson for today. If you
Yeah,
have multiple
yeah.
flashes set up, you're like, if you pop that off when you hear people cheer, the mom's no longer wondering if you're working. They just assume you got it somewhere. So
When,
pop a light.
but document important moments.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, or just recreate it. Recreating
Yeah.
moments since that's my business logo. Recreating moments
moments
since 2008.
Yeah. So funny.
What are
So
the
great.
flaws of what are the flaws of a
So
three and how would that?
the three tends to overcommit, right? They might book too many photo sessions. They might think that they can edit these photos faster than they really can. They might say, "Sure, I'll."
Right now, by the way.
You what?
I'm drowning in edits right now, by the way.
Yeah.
I'm not a
you're-
3, but I am drowning.
You've overcommitted because the 7 likes to do new things. Like, sure, I'll shoot a wedding this Saturday morning, even though I wasn't planning on it. You're too nice of a guy. So, so yeah, the threes can do that. They also will tend to round corners to get things done. A lot of times, the 3 wants to get. They don't want to be held down by the one's perfection. Okay. The detail oriented or the formulas or the systems that are put in place for them to follow. The 3s want to get to the end result faster because they want to be perceived as successful and get that done. Get that stuff done, right? So the 3s can tend to round corners and maybe not be as thorough in some of their processes because they just want to get to the success part of it quicker. So 3s are wonderful. They're great people. To have in your team. Yeah, Kimberly asked the question, I wonder if Nada is a 3. I don't know. I wonder if she sounds like a 3 because she's like, go, 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 go. So I don't know. We could ask Nada Salvatore.
It'd be not a problem to ask her.
Yeah, we could totally salvage this conversation. Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so we've talked about 1s, the perfectionist. We've talked about 2s, the helper, and 3s. As the achiever. So 1 might be too critical of their work. Okay, they might take too long to edit photos. They might take too long to set up a shot. Because they're too perfectionist. The 1s also might be really, really great at the detail-oriented stuff like product photography or magazine photos or even portraits if they're getting to tweak the light inside of a studio. So they're perfectionists. So they're really going to be good at paying good attention to the details and tweaking stuff until they get it to be absolutely perfect. But they could never ship their work because they're too worried about everything being perfect. So it's a catch-22 there. The 2s are the Rich?
The Rich Colemans. I'm just kidding. It's the helper, our wives.
The helper, our wives. And tell us about the 2s as a photographer. We're just recapping.
As photographer, I'm assuming they're probably great storytellers. When my wife worked for me for like a year, she was a great storyteller. They're very generous. They make the people feel great, like at a wedding or a shoot, because they're like empathizing with them.
Yeah.
But they have a hard time with self-care, and that could be bad as a photographer.
And a 2, at least observing from my wife, she, when we started editing photos, when we started working together, because we were a husband and wife wedding photography team for really about a decade, but specifically full time the last 5 years of our 10 years shooting weddings ish. Well, anyways, whatever. The point is that we would shoot together, and Tammy would care so deeply about the photos and about the clients and the individuals and how their story is being told that I could go through and cull a wedding, choose the pictures real fast.
You missed this crazy moment.
And she would literally go back and then like I'd be done. The wedding's edited. And she would go back and not let me like turn in the photos to the client for weeks because she would have to pour her heart into making sure that everyone was taken care of.
So then she started culling for you. Only, exclusively. That's how you fix that, bro. Hey, Tammy, you're culling. By the way, world, listen to this. I took David's family pictures almost 2 months ago. They probably haven't been culled. They have definitely not been edited.
Tammy did cull them, but it took her like a month and a half.
Ooh.
That's the thing. And I know, like I just got to sit down and do it. But I'm a 7, so that's an old thing. I'm on to new things. So
I just don't want to have to reshoot you guys next time I come because now your most recent portraits are out of date.
Pictures are outdated.
Yeah.
No, but that's the problem with the 2. They may have real big issues culling in an efficient way or choosing images in an efficient way because they care so deeply. And my wife specifically, maybe it's a woman thing, maybe it's a my wife thing, maybe it's a 2 thing, but she goes back and forth on trying to make decisions over and over and over again because she cares and feels so deeply.
You're stressing me out. Stop it.
I know.
What's a 3?
And so a 3 is the achiever. Okay, 3 is the let's get it done, and I want to be perceived as someone who gets it done and drives Mercedes and is successful in life, you know. But they might round corners, they might try to get to the finish line quicker, and not saying they're going to cheat per se. It's just that they may be like, oh, that's good enough. Like, let's get this done. Let's check this off the box, right? JFS, just freaking ship. And yeah, so the 3 can also overcommit, you know, and get too busy and overbook and do these different things, right? And they may burn themselves out. Okay, they may look like a rock star, and all of a sudden they crash. Okay, so 1 the perfectionist, 2 the helper, and 3 the achiever. All right,
and 4 we talked about last week. Let's highlight that, and then we can wrap her up and do a giveaway.
Yep, sounds good.
So Jeremy Cowart, the beautiful, the bold, the artistic, the withdrawn type, the dramatic, the seemingly self-absorbed, the sensitive. That's the individualist.
The individualistic. Yeah.
And if you want to hear about that, episode 25 was all about the individualist. So, not that we have to beat a dead horse. I don't recommend beating any horse, but especially not a dead horse.
Because what's the point?
My dad's wife raised horses, and when I ate horse in Iceland, she got really upset with me. So I no longer beat or eat horses. True story. I ate pony in Iceland. Sorry if that offends you guys. I had to try it. I also ate whale. It up.
Yeah.
They can't have cows there. They die. I didn't know I was eating pony until afterwards.
Did you eat it medium rare or was it whale done?
That was actually pony pepperonis.
No, I meant the whale.
I know. Yeah. The whale,
I was
that was very interesting. It was very interesting because you can't eat that in America. It's like illegal. Mm-hmm. Like whaling is not illegal there. Anyway, it looked like a steak, but then it looked just like a sirloin. And then when you cut it, it was fishy. It was weird. It was very interesting. It looked like it should taste like steak, like a really red piece of steak. And then you ate it and you're like, that's fish. And then immediately it was gross. But I ate it. And I'm picky as all get out, but I did it just because I was there.
Yeah. So the 4 is the individualist. Going back to back away from the whales. The 4 is the individualist. We talked about that with Jeremy Cowart last week, or was that last week? 2 weeks ago. And 2 weeks ago, and that was episode 25 with Jeremy Cowart. Talking about 4 is the individualist, and they feel like no one else is like them. And like their circumstances are unique in that they feel this need to be different. Okay. They want to fit in, but they can't just go do what other people do. They have to feel like they've come up with these ideas and do these things themselves. They're also really great at ideas people. And sometimes they can be really moody and emo. A lot of times 4s are, if someone has blue hair because they've dyed it, like there's not absolutely, but there's a good chance they might be a 4. And so sometimes fours can go back and forth on their emotions, and they can be ups and downs and all sorts of things. We need fours. They're wonderful. Some of the best creations in existence, whether they're movies or pieces of art or, world-class photographers like Jeremy Coward, a lot of times, some of they're fours. And they're not necessarily all emotional per se. Some of them really are, but they're not necessarily all like this emo emotional, but they do feel unique. And like no one else is like them, and like no one else can understand or empathize what it's like to be them.
I love trying to empathize with fours. I that's like one of my favorite things to do on a daily basis.
To empathize.
I just want to over-empathize with them. Yeah, Crystal. I try.
Yeah,
I try.
With Crystal.
There's a four in my life, and I love her. Her name's Crystal.
Yep, it's awesome. All right, so next week, so we're going to wrap up. We're talking about 1, 2, 3, and 4, and then next week we're going to cover 5, 6, and we'll recap 7, and we'll talk about 8, and maybe 9. So maybe we'll talk about the final 5 numbers next week, even though we've already talked about 7.
We'll go through it. We'll be fast. Less horse talk.
Yeah, less horsing around. We'll make sure we do a well done job. Well.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
We won't go as far into the whale, to pull stories out.
I got it. Well, David, we do need a winner, and I haven't even looked, but it's great because our R4 on the team is on her job. She's the only one that works. Just kidding. You know what, David? Not to talk. I'm gonna do this because I don't care about time. Here's the great thing about the photo mentorship, which is what makes this podcast possible and these giveaways possible, like buying a camera. The reason I love David Molnar, your photography mentor, and the reason I really love the photo mentorship which is world-class training within this small group, is you call somebody, you call customer service, you're getting a photographer. You message in for help, you're getting somebody that understands camera. It's not like there's this company from another country that doesn't know what's going on. Like, I love everybody on our team because they understand photography. Like, how many customer service people are also great at what they do? Like Autumn. Like, I think about Autumn has the crappiest job because people call her when they're upset or they need something or something's broken. And instead of like getting somebody who doesn't know how to answer their question, they're getting Autumn who knows how to answer the question. She's a photographer. She knows how to shoot. Yeah. She knows how to take world-class pictures. Or they're in the Facebook group talking to Crystal, doing the same thing. And that's what I love. Like, as we talk about Enneagram and everybody on our team who's different numbers, I just wanted to shout them out because how great is that? It makes it so much easier to like refer us because it's, you're getting people that care and you're getting people that understand photography.
Yep. Absolutely.
Can you imagine if like you called Apple support and they knew exactly about the clicking noise in your ears because they're Apple nerds? Like, there's a disconnect, even though like you go to a store and that Apple person knows a lot about Apple. That's what I feel like we are. We're like the Apple store of online photography education.
Yeah.
End of rant.
That's awesome. Yeah. Well, check out thephotomentorship.com if you guys check out thephotomentorship.com if you guys want to join the Photo Mentorship and stream unlimited access to all 27 and counting of our courses, and also get all your questions answered and have access to the best photography mentors in the world, I think. So yeah. Well, hey, let's do this giveaway. So we're giving away. What are we giving away today? A flash.
We're giving away a Godox TT 600.
Here's the Yanoa version. You have the Godox one.
I got it right here. It's a speed light.
Speed light. And then you guys, if people join the Photo Mentorship, they can take your Speed Light Photography 101 course and learn all about speed lights. They can learn how to take
portraits with this.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
Today. You can learn that today because I teach really fast, evidently.
Yep.
Don't worry, David. Right. All my teaching is bite-sized and digestible.
That's awesome. Alrighty. Well, the winner, that was a very witty joke. You know what I mean? The winner is, you can announce,
Kathy Wittenberg. Kathy, you have won a flash just because we love you.
Kathy?
That's all.
Flash and a flash. Yep, that's right.
David, can you flash her? Flash us real quick. No, I meant turn on your light and pop it. What did you think I meant?
I don't know if I have
batteries. Straight dead.
I don't.
Yeah.
Yeah. The battery's dead on this sucker. No, it's not. Oh, there we go.
You have to push and long push.
Yeah, but it's.
Their test light's on. I see it. Boom.
Boom.
Boom. That's how I want to end every podcast, with a flash from David Molnar.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what, David? Guess what?
What's up? What's up?
I love you.
You too, buddy. You too. Hey, everyone. Have a fantastic day. We'll see you next week. Make sure you register for the camera giveaway, by the way.
Free camera.
Free camera. Free camera giveaway. davidmiller.com/R5. We're giving away the Canon R5.
R5.
Next week, so make sure and register for it now. We'll see you guys soon. Have a great day. And yeah, love you guys.